Hey everybody, how are you doing today? Welcome to Miami. If you're not from Florida, welcome. I am. I drove 3 hours here, so local, and it was a fun time. I'm going to very quickly talk to you for maybe 5 to 10 minutes. We're a bit behind on what we've been doing at Talentao the last year. And it's a really interesting story because a year ago, I was here actually at this conference. I was not speaking. We really hadn't done much with the DAO. And we really didn't have a name for ourselves. We hadn't published anything. We haven't done any research. And in the last year, we've open sourced tons of research, raised hundreds of thousands of dollars, built a global community over thousands of people across the world. And we focus specifically on DAO research and how to build DAOs from a people perspective. So I think we focus a lot on tech and like how do we ensure the blockchain's decentralized. But there's other questions we need to think about, like how do we ensure people are happy? How do we ensure our operating model makes sense? How do we ensure we're agile, that we're structuring effectively, that our business model is viable, that we have some sort of strategy around our talent and how we retain people? So these are all the different types of questions that we set out to kind of answer. I don't have time to talk to all of these today. So we're just going to very quickly talk about a few different things. Some of kind of our approach to DAOs, how we think about them, some of the research we've done, and then some of the developments we're doing with some of the open source software we're building around peer review and publication. Cool. So this is a very like shrunken down slide. There's kind of like 5 things that we mainly do at Talentao. We do have sort of a commercial services offering of all of these, but a lot of this is primarily open source, sort of public good type approach to doing research. Most of our content's open source. So we do a lot of meta governance research. So how do we operate and build a DAO? In particular, over the last 12 months, we've seen a lot of interest in this concept of meta governance, and it's basically like how do other DAOs or organizations participate in the governance of other DAOs and organizations. So you start having like these meta DAOs that pop up, and it's really interesting because you have like these overlapping shareholder pools and stakeholders. We do recruiting and staffing, so we have a really interesting study on onboarding right now. I'll talk about that a little bit more detail in a couple slides. We have organization design, of course. That's like my specialty. So like how do you structure a nonprofit? How do you build a DAO? How do you structure the operating model relative to the structure of the legal structure? And then obviously research, and then community development, which I think we're pretty kick-ass at. Okay, so I could spend so much time talking about the different research studies we've done, so I'm just gonna focus on a couple. The first one is sort of our network health or community DAO health research track. So this is a study that's been funded and sponsored by Ocean Protocol and Ocean DAO, as well as Smart Contract Research Forum. And we basically built a open source tool that allows anyone to assess the health of their DAO contributors. So it's open source on GitHub. We're continuing to validate the tool. We're looking for pilot studies. It's really interesting because we're building on Ocean Protocol. So when people take these surveys, in addition to having sort of this scientifically valid perspective, you actually get a data NFT. And if you'd like to, you can start to have these sort of data DAOs that form as a result of participating in research with us. And you can get profit sharing from that as people purchase these data NFTs. So that's a really fun one. Decentralized leadership has been very busy last year. We've interviewed probably 35 or 40 different DAO leaders from the most prominent DAOs you can think of. The results are actually just wrapping up. I was really hoping to have a slide on that today, but I don't, so I'm just gonna tease you on it a little bit. We were trying to figure out how do you lead a community to lead itself, and how do you design yourself out of a role? How do you manage chaos? And how do you take advantage of the fact that DAOs are leaderful, not leaderless? And that's what we've been focused on. So the results of that study should be coming out at the end of this year. Very excited about that. We'll probably do like a main results reporting at ETH Denver if you'll be around. And then research as a service is mostly like our consulting side. So I personally work with a lot of DAO clients that are like, hey, Renee, I want to start a DAO. We have a community. We have money, we don't have a business model. Or we have a business model, we have money, we don't have a community. Usually one of those three. And we do a lot of help with that. So most of our core team spent about a decade or so, most of us have, in organizational psychology. And we spend a lot of time helping different companies kind of adopt this Web3 tooling. And if they want to get into the wild west of crypto operating models for their business, that's something we can help with. So this is actually just a high-level sort of market economy slide of one of the products we're building. So it's called the Journal of Decentralized Work, and basically what it is a open peer review protocol for scientific publication and peer review, and it's being built on Lens protocol. So the idea will be if you want to essentially run governance processes in content management and moderation on a journal in the context of Lens, you'll be able to do that with this. So this is a high level of like all the different actors in play, who makes money, who pays for what. Members ultimately control different budget decisions with like our grant program. They get access to our products and services. Researchers can effectively use our bounty network for open peer review. And then the peer review network, which is basically a collaboration across a lot of DeSci, not just TalentDAO. We're helping build this decentralized identity system. And you will basically be able to have like this reputation network of trusted DeSci scientists, TalentDAO being one of the nodes within this network. And we have this peer review service. So actually, we're in the process right now working with Smart Contract Research Forum, going through an open peer review process. So they're currently reviewing all of the content we published in the last year in a very open form way. And if you're not familiar with DeSci, decentralized science, some of this might be like, okay, so what? Well, in a few minutes here, we're going to have a really awesome panel that I'm going to hopefully do a great job facilitating for you guys, talk about what DeSci is. And I'll give you the quick sort of like TLDR of that. Like DeSci, decentralized science is effectively using blockchain and crypto economic networks and community empowerment to revamp, regut, redo the scientific infrastructure and business models in traditional academia. So like how we fund things in academia sucks, it's slow. How we publish things and how IP ownership is taken, like that sucks, it's slow. Peer review is usually free, like people volunteer their time. So like there's just a lot of inefficiencies in traditional academia that I'm very excited about DeSci fixing, and I'm very excited that TalentDAO gets to have a part in that. So that was the super quick speed run. That's our email. You're welcome to come talk to me about that after the show. I think in particular, we're really looking for sort of like two things right now. One, anybody who's interested in piloting our DAO Health survey. So we have this really cool organizational assessment. The more data we get, the more we can validate it, make it scientific and rigorous. So if you have a community that you're in or you think might be interested, definitely hit me up. And then I also think we're looking to pilot some of our commercial services. So I personally do a lot of consulting. Then we're also building a DAO, trying to combine those things so I don't have to feel like my time split so much. So if you are interested in advisory type services, that is something I do, and I'm trying to kind of bring that universe into TalentDAO a bit more. But yeah, that's all I have for you today. Feel free to email me, come talk to me after the show. And yeah, thank you. Let's get the rest of the panelists prepped and up here.
Thank you. Yeah.